Hello, friends. Hello, how are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. It's something that I want to read. I hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna try my best to read the what I'm reading to you. Once again, I did not write this. I'm just reading it. I think it's important for. I want to encourage you and show you in everything. So this is called Looks Who's Talking. It's come from a chapter of a book that I copied out of and written it down and typed it out so I can read it and share with you. I hope this encouraged you. I hope it touched those out there. I really, really do think everybody out there is important, that you mean the world to me, that you're amazing, that you're smart. Never give up on your goals. Always persist until you succeed. And as long as there's breath in you, that long you should persist. Words that imply failure such as I give up, I cannot succeed, and it is impossible, must be removed from your vocabulary. Remember, you are winners, you are important, and you're not a quitter. You are important and you're smart. Never give up and stay strong. So, with that said, I'm going to read this to you, and I hope it touches someone's life and heart, and I hope it encourages them. Let me get it together, and I'm gonna try my best to read it without stumbling. If I stumble, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. If Jesus decided to audibly, audibility to talk to you right now, if he were to materialize out of thin air and sit on a chair beside you right now, what do you think he would say? What do you think he would say? Maybe he would say something like this: I'm your friend. I know you can't see or touch me, but that doesn't mean I'm not with you all the time. About 2,000 years ago, I said something that still applies today. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble, and you will find rest for your souls. Isn't that what you're really looking for? Someone who made a pact of friendship with you, someone to share a common life with you. I call it being yoked together, and I'm still gentle and humble in heart. That's my very secret as God. I am always with you. You may not realize it, but I know intimately what loneliness, discouragement, and sorrow are all about. I've been there. This might surprise you, but long before I've been born in a manger, the prophet Isaiah predicted that I would come to earth in human form. He describes me as one who had no beauty and majesty to attract us to him. It was not physical. I was not physically attracted. Not exactly the Justin Bieber type, that's for sure. It was also said of me that he was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering, like one who men hide their faces, and he was despised, and we esteemed him not. I've lived through that. Doesn't that tell you that I know what it's like to be rejected and lonely? I know what it's like to have family members who don't believe in you. When I called the 12 disciples began my public ministry, my own brothers didn't believe in me. One time they came to take charge of me. They said, he is out of his mind. I know what it's like to be rejected by your own family member. I know how it feels to be mocked and ridiculed when you're doing what you know is right. In fact, during much of my adult life on earth, I had to live among people who didn't like me. The religious leaders hated me and, and were constantly hanging around me looking for some new information that they could use to slander me, or worse yet, to gain evidence to have me killed. I know what it's like to be alone. I spent 40 days in the wilderness without another human being present. Much of the time was great for me because I enjoyed companionship with my father. But during a part of that time, I faced fierce temptation from the devil himself. I know how it feels to have negative thoughts hurled at you by the evil one. I enjoy times by myself because I always knew my Father was present. So I knew that I wasn't really alone. And I'm concerned that you know that you're really not alone either. I have promised you that I will be with you whether you felt my presence or not. If I say so, you can count on it. I don't lie. Perhaps you have experienced loneliness or even grief because someone has moved away or died. I know what it's like too. My friend Lazarus died when I was on earth. When I came to his home, I felt the sorrow, pain, and loss that his sisters, Mary and Martha, was feeling. I was deeply touched that I wept too. I know the emotions you go through when loss cuts through your soul like a knife. I understand how much it hurts when you break up with a friend, when someone turns their back on you, when someone's moved away. I mentioned someone turning his back on you. I had that happen to me. One of the most emotional, draining experiences of my life happened just before I died on the cross. I spent 3 intense years with my 12 closest friends. We had eaten, slept, traveled, and ministered together during all that time. I deeply loved them. Yet during that time, something began to eat away at Judas that finally led him to betray me. No doubt you read about it in the Bible, but have you ever stopped to think how a person feels when someone that close sells him out? But that was not the end of it. The the other 11 disciples went with me to the Garden of Gethsemane. I was hurting because I knew I'll be facing the worst imaginable situation, dying for the sins of all mankind. So I asked Peter, James, and John to pray with me. They fell asleep. They let me down at a time when I really needed their support. It would have, it would have strengthened me in that awful time of grief, anxiety, and loneliness. The situation got worse. You know the details. When Judas and the religious leaders came to capture me, all my friends took off to save their own skins. Then Peter, one of my closest friends, publicly disowned me 3 times. Perhaps as you read it in the Bible, it comes across merely as historical facts, but it hurts to have someone you love deny even knowing knows you. The loneliest experience I ever known occurred when I was nailed to the cross. Feeling the public rejection, the mocking, and catcall was bad enough, but I could handle that. To grasp what I'm about to tell you, you must understand the relationship I had always had with my Father. The secret to my life on earth was the constant intimacy that existed between my Father and me. We have what you call a perfect friendship. There had never been a time when we could not communicate. We have always been complete intimacy in our relationship. I have never been separated from Him. When I bore the sins of all mankind on the cross, it was an indescribable experience. You could not begin to understand the sheer hell I endured. In the midst of this awful moment, when I desperately needed my Father's love and companionship, He was gone. He could not look upon me because I was bearing the sins of the world. The combination of hearing humanity, bearing humanity sins and being forsaken by my loving Father was a staggering blow. You know the words I uttered, my God, why have you forsaken me? My friend, I know what it's like to be forsaken by the dearest person you know, the love of your life. My heart is always touched when someone weeps because of loneliness. When someone loses a family member or friend, I feel it keenly. When a relationship is severed, I know exactly how it feels. Let me tell you something that troubles me. People think I'm isolated, way up in the sky somewhere, far removed from the cares of the world. They think I don't have any emotions. I wish they noticed how often the Bible mentions me having tender feelings for people. I wept over a city, I wept at Lazarus' tomb, for example. I'm not made of cardboard, of course. I'm not made of cardboard. Of course, I feel people's joy and sorrows. If you read the Bible, if you read the Bible, you know how often my heart was touched with compassion for every lonely, hurting, empty person. I felt emptiness of the woman of Samaria who came to the well by herself. My love and tenderness sent her away excited because she knew her life would overflow with my love. Some people are lonely in crowds. Nicodemus had a place of prestige. He was very religious, well educated, and respected by others. Yet he came to me one night because he was lonely for intimacy with God. Even though he was very religious, I sensed the inner cry of his heart for friendship with my Father. He was unlike the woman in the well outwardly, but inside he too was looking for someone to fill the empty spot. And there is Zacchaeus, hated by nearly everyone because he was a tax collector. He was treated like an IRS agent, only much worse. Like today, people back then both hated, feared tax collectors. But Zacchaeus had an additional problem. He was little in size. He was just a little guy, the kind of person who is frequently the brunt of jokes. I know when I saw him sit. I knew when I saw him sitting on the tree limb as I passed along the road that he was lonely, searching man. That's why I told him I wanted to have lunch at his house. I wanted him to know that I cared about him. One thing I'm trying to say is that I really do know what is going inside of you, even when no one else does. Your discouragement isn't hidden from me. I was there when you failed that last math test. You probably didn't realize it, but I felt the hurt that you felt. And when your parents yelled at you and accused you of not studying, I was there, just like I was there for the woman at the well. I've already told you that I know what it's like to be lonely. It's just, it's just, I've just told you a little about my experience on the cross. But do you realize that I've already been part of your experience of loneliness? You may not realize it, but I was there. I was there all the time. I was there when you broke up with that special person. I was there when you cried on your pillow for an hour. I was there when your parents were arguing and threatening each other and you felt so much anxiety. I was there. I always been there and I always will be. Maybe you're maybe you're sitting there and you're experiencing a deep sense of loneliness. It may be a loneliness that's been there for a long time or a situation that just happened in the past couple of days. I'd like to suggest a ideal for you to consider. Your real loneliness is a loneliness for me. Oh, sure, those circumstances and situations of being forsaken, bored, discouraged, or friendless are genuine. But if you have a solid, warm, constant relationship with me, you will be able to handle any of the breakdowns of mom, your family members, or friends that will come along. I like to help you grow in your sense of my presence with you, my friendship with you, my unconditional love, my wisdom for you. I make a difference. I said earlier that the secret to my years on earth was the intimate relationship I had with my Father. That's the secret to your life on earth, too. Just as my Father and I live in constant state of companionship, I want to live in exactly the same way with you. Like any other relationship, ours will deepen over the years. But you can begin now to make new discoveries. I just want you to know how I feel about you. I'm Jesus. I'm your friend now and always. I know it's not bad if I don't get any likes. I understand. But I just want to say God bless you and have a great day.